From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting, originating from the County Administrative Center located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue, Bakersfield, California. Kern County's vision is to create and maintain a customer-centered county government designed to garner the confidence, support, and trust of the people we serve. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, January 9 meeting of the Kern County Board of Supervisors. The board will convene, and Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Supervisor Gleason.
Here.
Supervisor Scrivner.
Here.
Supervisor Maggard.
Here.
Supervisor Couch.
Here.
Supervisor Perez.
We're going to begin the morning with a salute to the flag. It's going to be led this morning by David Womack, who is the area rep and manager for Kaiser Permanente. And then could you remain standing for a moment of prayer, silence, and meditation as you would like. Thank you.
Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Thank you. We're going to begin the morning by dealing with our consent agenda. Consent items are indicated on your agenda if you have one. If you don't, there's an agenda at the back of the room on those tables by the doors if you'd like to have one. Consent items are indicated with a CA above the number of the item, and they're generally routine in nature and not particularly controversial. But we always offer the public an opportunity to speak about items on the agenda, and if you would like to, in fact, I'll just read you something about this. All items listed with the CA above the item are considered to be routine and non-controversial by county staff. Consent items will be considered first and may be approved by one motion. If a member of the audience wishes to comment or ask questions regarding an item or items on the consent agenda, they may do so prior to the vote being taken on the consent agenda. A member of the board may remove any item from the consent agenda, and it will be considered in listed sequence with the opportunity for any member of the public to address the board concerning the item before the action is taken. At this time, I will read the consent agenda items. So if you look in your agendas, they begin on page 2 of this morning's agenda with items 2, 4, and 7. On page 3, items 8, 9, and 10. On page 4, items 11 and 12. On page 5, all the items 13 through 21 with the exception of item 17, which is not on consent. On page 6, all the items 22 through 27. And on page 7, item number 28. Are there any members of the public that would like to make any comments regarding any items that are on the consent agenda this morning? Okay, thank you. I don't see anyone wishing to make a comment. Do any board members wish to pull any items for separate consideration?
Motion on consent.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved, 4 ayes, 1 absent. Supervisor Perez.
Thank you very much. We have 2 presentations to make this morning. One is, item number 1 on the agenda is a resolution honoring 2nd District Supervisor Zack Scrivner for his numerous accomplishments as the 2017 Chair of the Kern County Board of Supervisors. And we will, in a moment, entertain a motion to adopt that resolution, and I will make that presentation to thank Zack for the great job he's done. And secondly, item number 3, which is an issue to proclaim January 18, 2018 as the 30th anniversary of Kaiser Permanente providing healthcare services in Kern County. That's going to be presented by Supervisor Scrivner. So do we have a motion to approve both items 1 and 3, please?
Motion on 1 and 3.
Thank you.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved, 4 ayes, 1 absent. Supervisor Perez.
Okay, I'm going to ask Supervisor Scrivner to join me down front for this presentation. Each January, we change our chair position from one board member to another, in a preset manner, and the time has come for us to make that change this year. But I want to thank Supervisor Scrivner for the fantastic job he's done as our chair in 2017. So I'd like to read this proclamation. It's a bit of a read, but it's important because it points out many good things that have happened this last year and under the leadership of Supervisor Scrivner. It says, whereas in 2017, 2nd District Supervisor Zack Scrivner was honored to serve as the chairman of the Kern County Board of Supervisors. During this time, the county has achieved success in many areas and continued their focus on achieving fiscal stability. And during the Supervisor Scrivner's term, the county saw a 50% reduction in the structural deficit and avoided having to use reserve funds to support operations. This is an especially impressive accomplishment considering the county did not cut staff to achieve the reduction. Kern County continues in year 2 of a 4-year mitigation plan to resolve the structural deficit and achieve a sustainable future. Some of that great success was delivered through the county's Launch Kern initiative, a Lean Six Sigma program to open to every county employee, using their firsthand knowledge to help us become better and faster. Behavioral Health and Recovery Services, the Treasurer Tax Collector, and Human Services have implemented pilot projects during the first few months of the Lean Six Sigma deployment that will save taxpayers close to $200,000 annually. Additionally, Planning and Natural Resources use continuous improvement principles to streamline their oil and gas permitting process, taking the turnaround time from months to less than 7 days. These incredible efficiency gains and cost saving are positioning Kern County to be a much stronger force going forward. And in Supervisor Scrivner's district, Kern County completed the East Kern Economic Diversification Study that aimed to identify the area's economic opportunities, address the challenges, attract new businesses, increase high-wage jobs, and strengthen the area's tax base. The recommendations are being implemented now and will continue to strengthen the area and Kern County as a whole well into the future. And furthering the goals of diversifying Kern County's tax base, in 2017, the county launched the Advanced Kern Initiative in partnership with Kern Economic Development Corporation with input from local business partners. The initiative is a forward-thinking tax incentive plan that encourages and rewards new and existing businesses that invest in our communities and pay our residents a sustainable wage. And after hearing from our residents, Kern County adopted the goal of becoming a no-kill animal shelter by 2020. Since that goal was set, the county has decreased the number of euthanizations of animals by 70% and continues to see that number trend positively. We're also seeing more animals returning to their owners each year, reuniting lost pets with their families. And finally, a special accomplishment to honor the amazing employees of Kern County. In December, Kern County reached a final agreement with the Service Employees International Union to provide employees with 2 $500 retention bonuses and 4 additional days off with their families. It was very nice and a bit charming to be greeted by one of the maintenance people in the building in the elevator this morning, thanking us for the opportunity to come to some kind of an agreement and move forward. So we're grateful to the employees for their agreement so we can move forward. This agreement also brought employee overtime calculation into alignment with state and federal standards, saving Kern County approximately $1.5 million annually. Now, therefore, it is resolved that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Kern, the State of California, does hereby commend and thank Supervisor Zack Scrivner for his leadership and support of the county in achieving these accomplishments during his tenure as chairman, adopted this 9th day of January, 2018. You're a great leader. You're a great person. I admire your character, and I'm grateful for the leadership that you provided and the dignity and style with which you've done it. So congratulations. Would you like to say anything?
Just very briefly, first of all, thank you so much, Supervisor Maga, for those kind words. And there was a lot here in this resolution to read, but it's a testament to the hard work of the board, all of our department heads, and of course, our hardworking employees up and down the ranks. There was a lot, I think, that we were able to manage in 2017. So looking forward to 2018. Thank you so much. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. All right. Okay, I'm up next for the folks from Kaiser. Come on up. All right. So we're here today to give recognition to a nonprofit entity that has been in Bakersfield providing high-quality health care for 30 years. Kaiser Permanente was founded in 1945 by industrialist Henry J. Kaiser and physician Sidney Garfield. Kaiser's model is based on preventative care and a managed care system. January 18, 2018 marks 30 years exactly that Kaiser began operations here in Bakersfield, and it is my honor to present to Dr. Julia Bay, Sherry Mounts, and David Womack this proclamation from the Kern County Board of Supervisors. Congratulations. It's signed by our Honorable Chairman, Mike Maggard. Who'd like to receive the certificate? Come on, say great. Okay, first we'll get a picture and then we'll let you folks say something. How about that? Okay, here's the.
You need to step to the left.
Here, let's come over here.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you, Supervisor Scrivner, and to all the supervisors. We really appreciate this proclamation. It was the 18th of January, 1988, when we first started operations here in Kern County. We started with a handful of members, one physician, one nurse, one medical office assistant, one office manager, and one insurance salesman. That was quite some time ago. In the 30 years, all the changes that have been brought about in medicine and with our growth and the growth of Kern County, today we operate in 10 locations in Bakersfield, one in Tehachapi, and we operate a mobile health vehicle that delivers care to the outlying communities of Delano, Wasco, and Taft, and we serve 108,000 members here in Kern County. So throughout all that time of growth and change, we have stayed true to our mission, which is to improve the health of our members and the communities we serve. That's a big mission, and we know we can't do that alone. We do that with partners. We spend a lot of time working with other not-for-profits here in Kern County. We give well over $500,000 a year in grants to others that are trying to improve the health, and we partner with governments as well. And in recent times, we've partnered with the county, with the public health department, to increase the awareness and to provide our young people with the tools that they can use and the education they can use in the moment to help prevent sexually transmitted diseases through an innovative program with the Kern High School District. We've also partnered with Kern Medical to provide them a sizable grant so that they can get their patients up moving sooner out of the hospital beds so that they go home instead of into a nursing home. These are just some of the ways that we try to make a difference day in and day out. So on behalf of the 1,100 of us Kaiser Permanente people who live, work, and raise our families right here in Kern County, we say thank you again, and we're really looking forward to what we can do together over the next 30 years. Thank you.
David, I want to thank you for your words and for the leadership that you and the benefits that Kaiser is bringing to our community. You improve the quality of life of over 100,000 folks that live here, and we're grateful for what you guys do. So thank you very much. Thank you, Supervisor Scrivner. Next, we're going to go to the public for an opportunity for them to talk to us about anything that they would like to address the board with this morning that is about a topic that is not otherwise on our agenda this morning. So we offer an opportunity for 2 minutes for members of the public to come forward and make some kind of a comment to us about anything that they would have to say that is not otherwise on our agenda. Good morning. Could you please give us your name?
Oh, yes. I'd like to say my name is Curtis James Bingham, Senior, Street Evangelist for our Lord and Savior, God Almighty Jesus Christ, who truly is the unbegotten Son of a Holy Heavenly Father God.
Okay, Pastor Bingham, I want to thank you, first of all, for the prayers that you give for us every time you come up. I'm grateful for that.
Oh, thank you.
But I'm going to try to hold everybody to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So I know the Lord, through the Holy Spirit, can hear our prayers on fast forward.
Yes.
So, Pastor Bingham, what would you like to say?
Yeah, I'd just like to also bless the board. The Lord tell us to be kind and respect our board of leaders in the city. And I'd just like to say everybody up there will be what you call an MVP. Every organization has some form of MVP, most valuable person. So everybody up there will be considered that. And I also would like to say you have NVPs, you're overseers of NVPs, and I would say that would be our local law enforcement would be MVP, fire department MVP, our district attorney would be MVPs. MVPs are people that can do things other people can't do. We just had a coach hired for Oakland for $100 million for 10 years because they figure he can do something that anybody else can't. So when it comes to our fire department, they have what you call a desk job. Everybody here got something at home they don't want to lose, and we're dependent on the fire department. Take the fire department away today, would nobody in this city sleep right, because we would be worried about things burning down. So we have to really take in consideration when we're dealing with them, they are MVPs, which help the city run, and at the same time, they have desk jobs. And I just wanted to be recognized and noted, when it comes to funding, they're going to need more money. This thing going to keep going and going because we got a new freeway building. And it's not because of people are leaving, more coming here, and they got to cover every single building. And they're going to need more funding. We need to put something together for more funding for them, because every time we look around, we're talking about taking something away. And when it comes to your MVPs, we respect everybody helping the city run, but your MVPs, we really, really got to step up to the plate and make sure they have everything they truly, truly need. So that's my main reason to be here today, is to look at individual jobs. And you have MVPs, your overseers of MVPs. Our number one MVP is be law enforcement. And the world will end because of evil. And so law enforcement here to take care of evil. So I just pray we can remember our MVPs, law enforcement, fire department, our district attorney. They need special blessings than others receive because they're protecting our lives. And so I just want to say that.
Thank you,
Thank
Pastor.
you in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And I'm glad that I can come up here before some MVPs truly. And I thank you guys very much. But please take this in true consideration, because that's what they really are. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your prayers. Keep them up. We can use them. Okay, is anybody else would like to make comment to the board this morning? Good morning, Ray. I know you're here regularly, but can you give your name for the record?
Yes, good morning. Ray Scott, Price Disposal. Board of Supervisors, I've given you two items that are coming up very soon here in Kern County. First is the K through 12 Recycling Challenge, which is in its 4th year. Kern County for 4 years have had the second largest number of schools participate and receive awards. Out of the 48 awards that we give each year, the $18,000, almost half of it goes to Kern County, which is a testament to Kern County. People that have helped me within the county, of course, is the County Public Works Solid Waste Division and the Metro Kern County haulers have been able to, for me to take Kern County and do what we do here and do it on a statewide level. The second item is more of a save the date. This year, Cal State Bakersfield will be only the second collegiate affiliate for Keep America Beautiful. So I'm moving the state press conference that I normally hold at the state capitol on the West Steps to Cal State Bakersfield this April the 10th. And this way, once again, it's always a pleasure to recognize Kern County, whether it be on a state level or national level, for the things that we do right here. And the things that, because we do them well here, they're extended out to the state and also out to the nation, because Keep California Beautiful for 2 years now has had the most schools in the national recycling competition. And Kern County has won that once before with the little school up in Gorman, was the #1 school per capita in all of the nation. So once again, showing what's best in Kern County. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate your enthusiasm, the passion you have for this, and for keeping us up to speed. Appreciate it. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you give us your name, please?
Yes, my name is Mona Sidhu, and I'm here to follow up on about 3 different issues that I've been following over the last year with the board. First, I'd like to remind the board that the Human Relations Commission meeting rate actually dropped over the last year that I was trying to get it to increase, so clearly my efforts had the opposite effect. They met twice last year with one informal meeting because there was no quorum. I know efforts have been made to increase the number of members on the commission to try and increase attendance, but that does not seem to have worked. I believe there is an alternative proposal that is before the board or will be before the board to change the structure, and I again urge you to consider that because last year's efforts clearly had the opposite effect, not the one that was desired. And the reason that it's important to have that commission be a working body is because the issue that brought me to the board in the first place, the issue of how the hate crime of People versus Hook was handled, new information came to light on that issue that I want to bring to the board's attention, and I do have some packets. I apologize, I didn't realize the chairperson was changing. The website this morning still showed Supervisor Scrivner as the chairman, so
We're friends, it's okay.
yeah, so that's I changed the names on the titles on the packet, but there is a CD that's in the Scrivner packet that I will ask him to share with the others. So I was confused about why there was no real sort of penalty for Mr. Hook, and the answer that was eventually obtained from the DA's office was that because he was a veteran and they were concerned he would be able to avail himself of veterans diversion, and so they wanted to make him an offer he couldn't refuse. The fact is, he is a veteran, but he was not found qualified for veterans diversion in open court in front of the DA's representative, so that was not a valid reason for giving him such a sweet offer on a hate crime. The audio
Ms.
tape...
Sadhu, we allow 2 minutes for each person to do that at this point. So
Can I finish my sentence?
Yes, ma'am, you certainly can.
So to just finish up, the audio tape of the recording and a memo detailing the facts is in the packet. There's one audio tape. If you want more, I'll get them for you. They only cost $10. Truth is pretty cheap to get.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sadhu. I would encourage you to speak with the district attorney's office as well about those issues. Okay, very good, thank you. Okay, are there any other members of the public this morning? Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you give us your name for the record, please?
Robin Willoughby.
Good morning, Ms. Willoughby.
Good morning. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to address the Ordinance G massage establishment permit before you here today. I've had several opportunities to speak with Mr. Constantine in the last month, and yesterday himself and two of his staff members met with me and my massage therapist at my place of business in Fraser Park. We reviewed the concerns that I have with this ordinance. However, today I'll narrate them down because of time constraints.
Okay.
As a business owner and consumer, my greatest concern that this ordinance focuses clearly on massage therapists working in commercial location only. I believe that all massage therapists working in the county should be required to register with the county, supplying a location of their business, and each establishment require said license or permit. By focusing only on a commercially located massage therapist in small rural areas, they are only forced to move their business to their home where they will work without any fines or regulations or enormous fees to deal with. I believe that this ordinance is to be enforced to protect the consumer. Then as a consumer, I request that all massage therapists and massage practitioners be included in this ordinance that work within the county, especially those working from a place of residence. Even therapists working out of a chiropractic office, as well as those working out of an establishment licensed by the state. I ask the board would revisit this ordinance as it is written and amend it to include all massage therapists working within the entire county. As an establishment licensed with the state and subject to state inspections, I stand firm on the position that my license covers the massage therapist that works in my establishment and inspected by the state. On the application, it clearly states that the owner's responsibility of each party working in the establishment and subject to inspections and fines. I'm not opposed completely to this ordinance, just the exuberant fee associated with it and the lack of including all massage therapists. I would like to say that this ordinance would put an end to sex trafficking or prostitution, but we all know it will take much more than this ordinance to complete that task. Thank you so much for your time.
Ms. Willoughby, thank you for coming forward this morning. Mr. Constantine, I think you've met with her before, is that correct? Yes, sir. I'm speaking to Mr. Constantine in our audience here, Ms. Willoughby. Can you continue to dialogue with her? I know there's another group that's interested in helping us make this as constructive as possible and then report back to the board. Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Constantine.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Willoughby.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you being here. So did you have something to give us this morning, Ms. Willoughby?
The only thing that I have is I have And I only made one copy, and I apologize for that. I only printed out the page 1 and page 5 of the state application that I fill out as a state license holder for an establishment. And it clearly states on here, I've highlighted, where I am responsible for all entities working within there, so.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other members of the public who would like to speak to us this morning? Good morning. Could you give us your name for the record, please?
Yeah, it's Sean Kinney.
Sean Kinney, good morning.
Good morning. My concern is for the medical marijuana patients that aren't able to get safe access in the outlining areas, mostly District 1 and District 2, Ashes in Wofford Heights, and also in Tehachapi. The board, the county has put a ban on the dispensaries, and I thought that it was supposed to be brought to the voters first, so I also would just like a little clarification as to why. And then I know you guys are concerned about health and the presentation today and, you know, the jobs and stuff like that. So I just had questions as to what you're doing to, you know, help out those patients on like a day like today where the weather's awful and they're forced to, you know, either unlawfully buy it on the streets or come all the way down here to, you know, those ones, so.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you coming forward this morning. We'll see if we can get you a little bit of information. Do we have anybody here from that can address this specifically? I know that we have grandfathered in, Mr. Nations, how many medicinal marijuana dispensaries are grandfathered in and allowed to operate in Kern County through next November?
Approximately 24.
24. And so those remain in process, in place today in those unincorporated areas. And we are working on, we have a subcommittee that Supervisor Gleason and myself are on, working on a plan we have to be able to deliver medicinal marijuana to patients who need it so that they won't have to go out in weather like today. So we'll work on that, and I assure you that those grandfathered ones will stay in operation through November, sometime in November, as long as they comply with the other rules.
But there isn't any that are in those outlining areas that I asked about. Do you mean specifically a delivery system, like actually like pizza delivery, like?
Yes, medicinal marijuana,
Okay.
mobile delivery.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. What do I do about the concerns that it's dangerous? You know, it's not a good idea to deliver versus having a location.
We'll
you
have
know?
plenty of discussions and public hearings to make sure we hear from the public on that.
Okay. And then what about the fact that it's not lawful to ban them in the meantime without the voters?
Mr. Nations, could you address that, please?
If the question is it lawful to ban without a vote of the electorate, the state statutes specifically authorize local jurisdictions to ban all commercial medicinal activities. There's no requirement that there be a vote of the people.
There isn't? Okay. I guess I was misinformed.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Very good.
Okay, anybody else? Good morning, sir. What's your name, please?
My name is, Nelson Vasquez. I'm curious, like on a day today, just here, it's all flooded, really terrible. People couldn't even park, and driving down here is really dangerous. And with the ban or the dispensaries that you guys have, did you take any of that accountability of people having to travel? You said about delivery services, but do you understand that people don't like people coming to their home, possibly getting robbed out there? There's so many issues, but you guys have closed your minds about it and really haven't taken any feedback from the community, especially if the voters voted for the dispensaries. So how do you justify what you've done?
We've had a long discussion, public discussion, a number of hearings, and reached a conclusion that we think it's better served for the dispensaries not to be in operation at this point, and that we'll find another way to be able to get medicinal marijuana to their patients. So, any other members of the public wish to make comment to us this morning? We have quite a crew this morning. Good morning, sir.
Yes, my name is Kenneth Rafnan, and I'm
Sir, could you spell your last name?
R-A-F-A-N-A-N.
Rafnan, thank you.
And I'm currently on the 2017-2018 grand jury, and I'm here to speak on behalf of those that work in the Superior Court building from the 3rd floor to the 7th. Now, There's only one elevator there, and some of us can't get into the building to alleviate traffic, so we're sitting in the lobby waiting our turn, and climbing up 7 or 6 flights of stairs can be quite tasking. We'd just like to know, I know people are trying to work on the problem of getting the extra elevator fixed, but so far we haven't gotten anywhere. That's all I have to say.
Mr. Refnen, I appreciate you bringing that to our attention this morning. General Services, who manages that building for us, is under the CAO's office. Mr. Alsop.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'd recommend to Mr. Raffman that he takes that up with the personnel at the courthouse. We don't, to my understanding, provide any maintenance for those elevators at all. If I'm mistaken, I will try and call you back today immediately. But I believe that we don't have anything to do with those elevators.
Whether that is the case or not, that we might manage the building, can you make sure you speak with Mr. Raffnen to make sure that his concern is delivered to the right person?
I will.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Raffnen. Appreciate you bringing that to our attention. Any other members of the public wish to make comment to us this morning? Okay, then we'll close public presentations and move on to the board. Do any board members wish to make an announcement or report this morning?
Yes, sir.
Supervisor Gleason.
I'm honored to bring up that today is National Law Enforcement Day. And I could sit here for hours and bloviate and brag about our sheriff's department, but I think it'd be best if the sheriff was opportunity, so I'd ask the chair to allow the sheriff to come and bloviate in my place.
That would be great. As we read in today's paper, the sheriff is one of the new inductees into the West High School Hall of Fame. So, Mr. Hall of Fame member and sheriff.
There's a fine line between Hall of Shame and Hall of Fame. I want to promise you that. Thank you, Supervisor Gleason. This is the third year of the Law Enforcement Appreciation Day that was founded by concerns of police survivors. It was founded after events occurring in Ferguson, Missouri that changed our world forever. The attack on law enforcement has continued since that time. Just yesterday, a detective in plain clothes, a suit, walked out of a store in Santa Clarita, and a gentleman walked up to him and asked him if he was a law enforcement officer, and he said yes, he was, thinking he would be able to help him. The suspect pulled a knife and stabbed him in the chest, simply because he was a law enforcement officer. That officer is going to survive. I want to let you know that I also appreciate a great deal the job that the law enforcement officers in this county have done over the last several years, 100 years, 150 years, that they really have provided a service that in times that are like we've never seen before. It reminds me back in the 1970s and 80s when I was a sergeant in the Boron substation. And in the Boron substation, I was a sergeant and I had 3 deputies and we all lived there. Today we field 1 deputy, 1.5 deputies, and nobody lives there. When I was a patrol commander in the 90s, we fielded 90 deputy sheriffs in Metro Patrol. Today we're fielding 49, sometimes 50. Half, and our population's almost doubled. The world is twice as violent or 10 times more violent than it was back in those times. So the job that these officers are doing is extraordinary. Deputies in corrections, the population, when I worked in the jail, was 300. Today we're at 2,000 to 3,000, anywhere in that neighborhood. So I greatly appreciate the job that the officers do in this county under the most difficult circumstances that you can imagine, and I thank you for that recognition.
Thank you, Sheriff, and thank you to our fine members of law enforcement throughout the county who protect and serve all of us. Are there any other members of the board that would like to make an announcement or report? I would like to make one referral this morning. There's a lot of talk in the media these days about opioid addiction and abuse, and I would like to refer to the Mental Health Department and to our Kern County Behavioral Health Department and to Public Health the issue of opioid abuse and the proliferation of opioids in our community, and is there anything we can do about it? So do I need to make a motion, or can I just make that referral and ask them to come back to us, Mr. Nations?
You can just make the referral.
Okay. So Mr. Walker from Behavioral Health and Mr. Constantine from Public Health, would you please join us in looking into this issue for us. I was told a troubling story this last week about a new friend of mine who came back from combat and received what's called a combat cocktail. And what a combat cocktail is when somebody is leaving the military and they come home and they are complaining of certain post-service issues. It's very common for them to receive a cocktail, a mixture of different drugs that introduces that veteran right into the potential for abuse. And there are alternatives for that, and I think that's one of the areas that we need to help them. So I just enjoy the opportunity for you guys to come back to us. Tell us, where are we with opioid addiction and abuse in Kern County, and are there indeed anything we can do about it? I'll give you a written copy of that referral, but thank you very much, gentlemen. I appreciate your help with that. Any other comments by board members? Okay, thank you. Then let's move on then to page 5 of our agenda, item number 17 from Human Services. Cindy Utes, who is the Chief Deputy Director of Department of Human Services, is going to come forward this morning and help us. There's a request to accept an in-kind donation from the Pine Mountain Scrappers Quilt Guild for homemade quilts and tote bags for the Jamison Center. And Ms. Utes, please come forward. Are we unable to meet with our quilters this morning? Are they affected by the weather?
Yes. Good morning, Chairman Maggard and members of the board. And as you said, my name is Cindy Utes, Chief Deputy Director of Human Services Department. And we were looking forward to recognize the Pine Mountain Scrappers Quilt Guild. It's a little bit of a tongue twister this morning, but they were unable to make it down from the mountain due to this glorious weather we have today. So we would like to take this opportunity to have them here at another point in time before your board to accept this recognition, as they're eager to come before you and accept it. So thank you, and appreciate the opportunity to reschedule.
Thank you. So rather than specifying a date, can we just reschedule it? Okay, we'll withdraw the item from our agenda this morning. So, okay, thank you. That does not require specific action, does it? Okay, thank you, Ms. Utes. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
We'll look forward to hearing from the quilters at another time when they're not buried in the snow, underneath one of their quilts, probably. Okay, that concludes our public issues for this morning's agenda. We have several items in closed session. I don't remember, Madam Clerk, do I need to specify what those items are for closed session? I do not. Okay, thank you very much. So if there is not objection, would somebody please move that we adjourn to closed session?
Yep, so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor Gleason, very much. We are adjourned. Thank you.